Hey guys, SC Programs here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to use PYGAME and get started with it. We're going to be making a simple game where you dodge the obstacles. Pretty cool. I'll have some gameplay on screen. If you want the source code, it's in the description. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright guys, so to get started, we're going to do our imports. And for this, all we're going to want to import is PYGAME and random, like so. Okay, now obviously we need PYGAME for PYGAME's tutorial is about. We need random because we're going to pick random objects for our enemies. Okay, so next what we want to do is initialize PYGAME. We can do so like this. We can call it like so, pygame.init. This initializes it. We click, we can see. Okay, next what we're gonna do is we're gonna want to set up some colors, and we're gonna call back to these, right? All right, so because colors are an RGB value, it's kind of hard to write, right? You don't want to do like 255, like 255, 255 for white. Instead, we just want to do white, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do white equals 255. So set white, and we're gonna want to do the same for black and red. So like so. Actually, I'll make white capitals as well. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we want to set up the display. So to do that, we can do screen equals pygame.display.set_mode. Alright, so then we want to do the resolution for the purpose of this tutorial. It's probably going to be like 800 by 600, like so. And then we want to set title, right, like a window title, and we can do that like so. Alrighty, so you set the window title. Now we can check that this is all working by simply doing alright, so we can check this is all working by simply making a loop for the game. So we'll do running equals true, and then we want to do while running, and then we just want to do pygame.display.update. So if we run this, we should see a window. It isn't gonna do anything. We're gonna have a loading thing, but we should see our SC programs tutorial up there. We should see the window in 800 by 600. So we can just end that. And now what we want to do is we're going to want to... Alright, so after we've done this, and we've tested out how PYGAME works, now we're going to want to set up the player variables and the objects variables. So to do so, we can do... now setting up the player attributes, we can do it like so. So what we're doing is setting the width, the height, the X and the Y coordinates, just to start off, and the speed at which they move. So like when you press A or D, like how fast it moves across the screen. If you want them to go slow, you put 1, or you could do like 10 for them to go super fast. And after we set the player attributes, we're going to want to set the obstacle attributes. Now I have it named as obstacle, but in reality these are kind of the enemies, right? So yeah, it's very similar to the player ones, except we're going to have an obstacle height, right? And the reason this is because we want them to spawn at the top of the screen. So that's why it's like this. Okay, after that we're going to set a score variable, like so. So when the game starts, their score is 0. Alrighty, so after that we're going to need to make a frame rate system. The reason for that is because we don't want people who have super fast computers running the game at like 2000 FPS. It'd be unplayable. So we're going to make like a little cap, right? So the game's only going to run at 60 frames, and we can do this like so. Alright, so that's our FPS system. Set to 60, you can do like 120, whatever you want. I think 60 is fine. Probably the best for most people. Then we just want to set our clock to pygame.time.clock. Okay, so after this we're going to need to set a font, right? Because we're going to need to write the score and the game over screen. So to do that, all we want to do is font equals pygame.font.sysfont none, and then we want to set the size. So I'm just going to do 75, but you can do whatever you want. And the reason we're doing sys font is because everyone has like a default font installed, right? So that's what this calls. But yeah, and then we want to make a small font, right? So to do that, what we can do is small underscore font equals this, and we'll just set the size to like 35. So you can't change font size dynamically as far as I know in PYGAME. So that's why we're gonna call it a bunch of times. But yeah, we'll do it like this. Okay, then we need to make some variables, right? So the default draw text function in PYGAME takes out like 4 lines, right? That's not very user friendly. So instead we're gonna make a function. Okay, so this is what our draw text function is gonna look like. It's gonna take you for the parameters, it's gonna take through text, font, color, and the surface, and as well as the X and Y coordinates. The surface is just the screen. So like if you want to rename it to screen, you can, but I just do surface, it's fine. After that we're gonna want to do a game over screen, right? Like for when they die. To do that, it's pretty easy. All we're gonna do is def game underscore over underscore screen, and then all we're gonna do is we're gonna do screen.fill, set white. And the reason we're calling screen.fill is because we want to get rid of the player, right? So in the game loop it's gonna draw the player and the enemies, as well as like the HUD and stuff. But we're gonna put like a white screen over all that, right? You don't want them to see that. If you do, just get rid of this. But after that, all we're gonna do is we're gonna draw our text. So okay, and then we're gonna draw the following text: game over, and press any key to restart. You know, pretty simple. All we're doing is So we're passing through the font, the big one, passing through a small font for like press any key to restart. The color's black, and then we're just centering them with these parameters. And then all we want to do is we want to do PYGAME.display.update, because we don't have to render it, right? Okay, so that's our game over screen. Pretty simple. Oh, actually, no, we need to add it. Okay, so after we update the screen, all we want to do is we want to add an event handler, and what this is going to do is it's going to wait for the person to press a key, then restart the game, right? So we can do that like so. Alright, so what this thing does is it's while waiting equals true, so it's in like a while true loop. It's waiting for the event. If the event equals key down, it's going to restart, right? It's going to break the loop, and the game's going to update. So it's pretty simple. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to actually start the game, right? So we're going to add some empty lines there, and to start, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add an event handler. Okay, so the event handler I just added is checking if PYGAME.quit is called. If it's called, it's going to break the while true loop, and the game's going to end. So that's pretty simple. After that, we want to add movement controls right to the player. So to do that, what we want to do is we want to add the following. Okay, so what this does is it's checking if a key is pressed. And if a key is pressed, it's assigning that value to keys. If keys equals A, it's going to move left. If key equals D, it's going to move right. If you want to change these to arrows, you can. You can just do like left and right, and that'll do the left and right arrows. I prefer A and D. Okay, and to actually move the player, what we're doing is we're grabbing the X coordinates, and we're subtracting or adding the player speed. So that's why I said, like, if you change this to a greater number, it's going to go faster. If it's a smaller number, it's going to go slow. Okay, after this, we're going to want to add the obstacles, right? The things that the player has to avoid. And to do that, we're going to do the following. Okay, so this is how we add the obstacles, right? So we're going to have the obstacle Y coordinate move down. And you're probably thinking, why are we adding if we're moving down? The reason is because the screen starts at 0 at the top, and the bottom is like the resolution. It's like we're doing 800 by 600. So 0 would be the top, 600 would be the bottom. So that's what we're adding. Then if they're lower than the screen, we're getting rid of the obstacle. And this is just moving the X position randomly. And also, if the player successfully dodges the obstacle, we want to add 100 to the score, right? So that's pretty cool. Now what we need to do is we need to add a way to check if the player actually hits the obstacle. You know, like we don't want to give them God mode. So to check for a collision, it's pretty simple. Okay, so to check for a collision, it's pretty simple. We're just using the following if statement, which is this. And then if they do collide, game over screen, resetting the positions and setting the score back to 0. Okay, and PYGAME does have like a default like collide check thing, but I'm just doing this kind of getaway. I think it just is fine for the purpose of this video. After that, what we want to do is we want to clear the screen, so we can do that by doing screen.fill white. Okay, then after filling the screen white, we want to draw the player and the obstacle, and that's really simple. We can do that like so. Okay, so all we're doing is we're drawing the player as red, the player X and Y coordinates, and then we're setting their width and height. This is like how big you want them to be. We're doing the same for the obstacle, right? Except the obstacle is black. But you can change it to any color you want. After that, we just want to draw the score, and that's pretty simple. So to draw the score, we're going to do it like so. We're going to call the draw text function, which we made earlier. We're going to pass through the score with an F string, small font, black, and then we're just going to set the position to the top of the screen. Okay, then after that, what we want to do is we want to update the display like so. And then we just want to update the FPS. We can do that by clock.tick. FPS, and then after that we want to go outside of the running loop like so, and then we just want to do PYGAME.quit. Okay, and now we should have our game. So if we run this, we should see that we have a game. When we dodge the obstacle, our score goes up. But if we hit the obstacle, game over. If we press any key, we'll restart, and our score is back to 0.